Hi my dear friends, welcome back to another Python tutorial class. In this class we shall see into the other ways of creating dictionary. In the previous class we saw some other ways of how to create dictionary. Also we saw the implementation of enumerate and zip in case of dictionary. Now we shall see into the other ways of creating a dictionary. So again here you see dic is a variable, it is equals to eval, and inside the eval function I give the input function, and there I ask the user to provide some values. Way 3 is via the eval method to create a dictionary. So dic is equals to eval. Already we have seen the implementation of eval method in many scenarios. So inside the eval method I give the input function, and via the input function I send the message to the user that provides some values. Once the values are provided, then I can print dic and the type of dic. So just run this cell. Yeah, put the curly brace. 10 is to 1000. So you can clearly understand that I am trying to provide a dictionary value here. 20 is to 2000, 30 is to 3000. Now hit enter. So you see, these are the values provided by the user, that is the dictionary taken by the input function. Now the eval method will determine that actually what kind of a value it is. So inside the eval method also you will have this entire value, 10 is to 1000, 20 is to 2000, 30 is to 3000, and the type of dic is the main thing, that it belongs to the class dict. Okay, the next is dict means dictionary. Next is, here you have a variable my underscore keys is equals to an empty list. My underscore values is equals to an empty list. For I in range 4, that means here I will be first your 0, then it will be 1, then it will be 2, then it will be 3. Okay. Now when the for loop starts, I at first becomes 0. I at first becomes 0. Okay. So E is equals to eval. Then inside the eval method again, input, provide values. Then my underscore keys dot append E. So whatever will be the value of E, whatever will be the value of E, that will come in here. And then we know what is the utilization of append method. It will simply append the value. It will simply append the value of E at the end of the list. Which list? This my underscore keys list. Then moving forward, E is equals to eval input, provide values. Again, some values are to be provided. Suppose I enter a value, and that will be the value for E. Then in the next line, my underscore values dot append E. So again, you will be appending the value of E at the end of the list. Which list this time? This time this list, my underscore values. So my underscore keys start getting populated, my underscore values start getting populated. In this way, this happens when I is 0. Now from line number 7, the control will go back to line number 3, and this, in that scenario, the value of I will be 1. Again you have to put the value of E, and that value of E will be appended at the end of the list of this one. Okay, so the value of E will be appended at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore keys. Again, E is equals to eval, and here also some value will be provided, and that will be the value of E, which will be then appended, at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values list. Okay, so from I is equals to 0 to I is equals to 1, already two values have been used to populate this list, my underscore keys and my underscore values. Now next, the control goes back from line 7 to line 3 again, and this time I becomes 2. And again, you have to provide some value for E, and this value of E will be appended at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore keys. Then in the next line, again some value will be provided for E, and this value of E will be appended at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values. Control goes back from line 7 to line 3. Now I becomes 3. And again some value will be provided for E, and this value of E will be appended at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore keys. And then again here some value of E will be provided according to the line number 6, and that value of E will be appended. That value of E, it will be appended at the end of the list. Which list? Now my underscore values. So for each and every iteration of the loop, this my underscore keys list gets populated, and so does the my underscore values list. Okay. Once this loop is completed, because I will go up to 3 only from 0 to 3. Once line number 7 has been executed while I is equals to 3, then the for loop is completed. Then the control goes to line number 8, and here you have z is equals to zip my underscore keys comma my underscore values. From our previous class, if you remember, what does this zip method do actually? The zip method, it actually, maps all the elements of all the iterables one by one in sequence. If you remember here, it sequentially maps each iterable's elements one after the other, and it gives back a zip object. So zip method maps all the elements of all the iterables one by one in sequence, and it will give back a zip object. And then if you want to, retrieve the contents from the zip object, then we need to pass it to the dict function, from where we will get a dictionary. Okay, and inside the dictionary, the elements of the first iterable, they become the keys, and the elements of the second iterable, they become the values. Okay, and in this scenario, two iterables are always required. When you're using the dict function over zip, then inside the zip method you have to pass two iterables, nothing less, nothing more. And the elements of the first iterable become the keys, elements of the second iterable become the values. So in that regards, this becomes your first iterable, my underscore keys, these are list, and my underscore values also becomes an iterable. This is a list, and it becomes the second iterable. So my underscore keys becomes the first iterable, my underscore values becomes the second iterable. Elements of my underscore keys will become the elements of my underscore keys, they will become the keys, and elements of my underscore values, they will become the values. That will happen when this zip object, which is here z, because ultimately zip method will return you a zip object, which is my z. This zip object has to be then passed inside the dict method. This zip object, that is z, has to be passed inside the dict method. And dict method will do what? It will give you the dictionary, where the elements of my underscore keys will become the keys, elements of my underscore values will become the values of the dictionary. What will be the dictionary? DIC, print DIC, comma type DIC will get your dictionary. So let us try to run this. Shift plus enter. Provide values. Which line number? This line number 4 has been executed. First of all, after you have run this cell, my underscore keys is empty, my underscore values is an empty list. Here also empty list. For loop has started. I will be going from 0 to 3. First of all, I is 0. Okay. E is equals to eval input provide values. So here you provide some values. Say for example, I provide some string value here. So for string value, I have to give here this quotation. EMP suppose. Okay. EMP underscore name. This is. Now this value will be given. This value is provided here. And eval, it will determine what kind of a value it is. Definitely a string data type. It determines what kind of a value it is. It belongs to the string data type, string object. This emp underscore name now belongs to this emp underscore name is the value of this variable e. Then this variable e I am passing here, and whatever is the value of e, that will be appended at the end of this particular list, my underscore keys. Okay, so now this my underscore keys, it will be populated. Okay, this is an empty list, but now no longer an empty list. Emp underscore name. Okay, then you hit enter. After you hit enter, then this line number 6 is asking to provide you some values. Okay, provide a value. So eval method is there, which will determine what kind of a value it will be. So suppose I enter the name of the employee. Emp underscore name means the name of the employee. Some random arbitrary fictional name, just for your understanding purposes. I give you a John. Okay, so this will be the value of E in line number 6. Okay, and then I'm passing this E inside the append method. So append method will append the value of E at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values. So my underscore values, it will be is equals to John. Previously it was empty list, my underscore values, but now it gets populated. Okay, this is when I is equals to 0. Then the line, if I hit enter here, then you see the line goes control goes back from line 7 to line 3, and the for loop has executed. That is, it has run again. When it has run again, then I moves to the next value. That is, I becomes 1. Again, some value of e is required here. Okay. So suppose I give emp underscore age. Emp underscore age. This will be the value of e. This will be the value of e here, and this emp underscore age will be passed here, and append method will append this value of e at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore keys. At the end of the list means here. So emp underscore age. Okay. Now hit enter. Again provide values. You see, now the control goes to the next line, that is here, asking for some value with the help of eval method, which will determine what kind of a value it is. So like so far only string values have been taken. Okay. Now suppose the employee age. This belongs to the employee. Emp underscore age means employee age. I give it as 32. Okay. So now the value of e right now is 32, and this e will be passed here, and the value of e will be appended at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values. That means here it will become 32. Okay. Hit enter again. The after you hit enter, the control goes back from line 7 to line 3, and the for loop has run again, so I becomes 2. Next, again the value of e you have to provide, and this value, so suppose I give org. Org, that means organization, in which organization the employee is working. Okay, that will be the value of e, a string value. This value of e will be now appended at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore keys. That means it will come down here, org, and hit enter. Now after you hit enter, then already append has executed for line number 5. Now e is equals to eval input provide values. Again you have to provide some value for this e, and I say a string value here, xyz, name of the organization. Okay, this value of e, it will be now passed here inside the append method. So append method, it will append the value of e at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values. So here it will become xyz. Now hit enter again. So the control goes from line 7 to line 3. For loop runs again. I becomes 3. In the next line, control goes e is equals to eval. You have to provide some value, and suppose gender. I give gender here. Okay. So this e will be now like after I have given gender. After I have given gender here and I hit enter, then line number 5 will be executed, and then line number 6 will be also executed, where you will be asked to provide value again. Now here I'm giving gender here. So here the value of e will be gender. Once I hit enter, then internally what happens is gender is passed here, and this append method will append gender at the end of the list, that is my underscore keys. So here you will have gender at the end. Now then the control goes to line number 6 and it asks you to provide values again. So e is equals to eval input provide values. Again you have to provide value, and suppose gender is male. These are all fictional data just for your understanding education purposes. Okay. So now, what is the value of e? The value of e is nothing but male. This value of e will be then passed here, and append method will append the value of e at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values. That means here, male. To execute this, you hit the enter button. Now you see you get a dictionary. You get a dictionary, because what happens here is then the for loop has completed once I has reached 3 and lines 4 to line 7 have been executed. Then the control goes to line number 8, zip method, zip, then inside the zip method my underscore keys comma my underscore values, two iterables I am passing here, and zip method, it will map all the elements of all the iterables one by one in sequence. So that means emp underscore name, this is the first iterable, my underscore keys, as you can see here, and this is the second iterable, my underscore values. So it will map the first element of my underscore keys with respect to the first element of my underscore values. So it will map emp underscore name to John. Then it will map the second element of my underscore keys to the second element of my underscore values. That means it will map emp underscore age to this value of 32. Okay. Then it will map the third element of my underscore keys to the third element of my underscore values. That means org it will map org to xyz. Okay. And finally, it will map the fourth element of my underscore keys to the corresponding fourth element of my underscore values. So it will map gender to male. Okay. And returns a zip object, that is the z. Then you pass the z inside the dict method, and dict method will return you a dictionary where the elements of the first iterable they become the keys, and the elements of the second iterable become the values. Okay, dict method will ensure that you get a dictionary where elements of the first iterable become the keys, elements of the second iterable become the values. That means emp underscore name, emp underscore age, org, gender, they will become the keys, and correspondingly John, 32, XYZ, male, they will become the values inside the dictionary. So that's why you see emp underscore name is the key, John is the value. And they are mapped to each other thanks to the zip method. Then emp underscore age is the key, 32 is its value. Okay, emp underscore age is mapped to 32 thanks to the zip method. Again, correspondingly, org, which is the third element of my underscore keys, and it is mapped to xyz, which is the third element of my underscore values. Org has been mapped to xyz, org is the key, xyz is the value. And finally, gender is the fourth element of my underscore keys, and this is the key, mapped to male, which is the fourth element of my underscore values. It is the corresponding value of gender key. So gender is the key, male is the value, and gender has been mapped to male thanks to the zip method. Then moving down, you have dictionary comprehension. This is way number 4 of how to create a dictionary. Dictionary comprehension. Now, first of all, let us go through some for loop. You know, generate a dictionary where the keys are the first 10 natural numbers. Generate a dictionary where the keys are the first 10 natural numbers and the corresponding values are the cubes of those numbers. So you will have to generate a dictionary where the first 10 natural numbers will be the keys and the corresponding values will be nothing but the cubes of those numbers. That means cubes of those first 10 natural numbers. That means the cubes of the keys. The cubes of the keys will be the values. This is the expected output, as you can see, 1 is to 1, 2 is to 8. 1 is the key, and 1 cube is equals to 1, that will be the value. 2 is the key, 2 cube is the 2 is the key, and 2 to the power 3 or 2 to the power 3 is nothing but the cube of 2, the value of 8, which will be the value of this key 2. Then 3 is the key, 27 is the value, because 3 to the power 3 is nothing but 27. Then here 4 is the key. 4 to the power 3 is nothing but 64. That will be the value. Similarly, 5 is the key. 5 to the power 3 is nothing but 125. That will be the value. Same for 6, 2, 16, 7, 343, 8, 512, 9, 729, 10 is to 1000. 10 is the key and 10 to the power 3 will be the value. 10 to the power 3 is nothing but 1000. Okay. So here you see again my underscore keys. I have defined a variable here, my underscore keys, which is equals to an empty list. Similarly, my underscore values is equals to an empty list. For x in range 1 comma 11, that means here your value of x, it will be first of all starting with 1, then it will become 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, then your 9, and then finally it will be 10. Okay. And as the for loop continues to iterate, the append method will come into play where it will keep on appending this value of x at the end of the list, that is my underscore keys. And similarly, append method will also append the value of x to the power 3 at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values. So when x is 1, the for loop starts, and the value of for loop starts, and the value of x at first will be 1. Okay, so my underscore keys dot append x, what will happen here? Initially it was an empty list, but now it gets populated with the value of 1, because append method will append the value of 1 at the end of this list, my underscore keys. In the next line, the control goes and append method will do what? It will append 1 to the power 3 at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values. So initially, my underscore values, what it was empty list, now it becomes populated. 1 to the power 3 is 1. The control goes back to line number 8, for loop runs again, now x becomes 2. When x becomes 2, then append method will append the value of 2 at the end of the list, that is my underscore keys. So here you will have 1 comma 2, and then in the next line append method will append the value of 2 to the power 3 at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values. 2 to the power 3 means 8. Okay, again the control goes back from line number 10 to line number 8, and x moves to the next value, which is 3. So append method will now append the value of 3 at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore keys. So it will become 3 here. In the next line, the control goes my underscore values dot append 3 to the power 3. Right now, the value of x is 3. So 3 to the power 3 will be appended at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values. So 3 to the power 3 is 27. Okay. And in this way, it keeps on continuing. Like control goes back to line number 8. Now x becomes 4. X becomes 4. So append method will append the value of 4 at the end of the list. That is my underscore keys. In the next line, 4 to the power 3 will be appended at the end of the list. That is my underscore value. So 4 to the power 3 is 64. So in this way it continues. Next it will be 5. So here you will have 125. Next it will be your 6. So here it will be 6 to the power 3. That is 216. Then next it will be 7. 7 to the power 3 is 343. Next we'll have 8. So 8 to the power 3 is 512. Then next is 9. And you will have 9 to the power 3. That is 729. Okay. And then finally 10. So 10 to the power 3 is 1000. Now once x has reached 10, the for loop is completed. So the control comes out of the for loop, and here you will have the zip method, and inside the zip method I pass two iterables, my underscore keys comma my underscore values. And zip method, it will map all the elements of all the iterables one by one in sequence. So it will map, zip method, it will map this one with this one, the first elements of the first element of my underscore keys to the first element of my underscore values. Then it will map 2 and 8. That is, it will map the second element. It will map the second element of my underscore keys to the second element of my underscore values. Then it will map 3 with respect to 27. That is, it will map the third element of my underscore keys with respect to the third element of my underscore values. Then again, it will map 4 with respect to 64. It will map 4 to 64. Okay. That is, it will map the fourth element of my underscore keys to the fourth element of my underscore values. Then it will map, 5, it will map 5 to your 125. Okay, it will map 5 to your 125 because 5 is the fifth element of my underscore keys, and 125 is also the fifth element of my underscore values. Then again it will map the sixth element of my underscore keys, that is 6, and it will map to where? It will map to the sixth element of my underscore values, that is 216. Then it will map 7. It will map 7 to where? It will map 7 to this value 343. That is, it will map the seventh element of my underscore keys to the seventh element of my underscore values. Okay. Then it will map 8. It will map 8 to which value? It will map 8 to 512. Okay. And that is mapping the eighth element of my underscore keys to the eighth element of my underscore values. Then it will map 9 with respect to this value 729. That is, it maps the ninth element of my underscore keys to the ninth element of my underscore values. And finally it will map 10. It will map 10 to this value 1000. That is, it will map the 10th element. It will map the 10th element of my underscore keys to the 10th element of my underscore values. Okay. And once that mapping has been done, it returns a zip object which is z. Pass the zip object, that is z, inside the dict method, and dict method shall return you a dictionary where the elements of the first iterable become the keys and the elements of the second iterable become the values. If you run this cell, you see elements of the first iterable become the keys, that is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, they become the keys, and these are the elements of the first iterable, that is my underscore keys, and these elements of the second iterable, that is with respect to my underscore values, they become the corresponding values of the keys. So as we can see here, 1 is to 1, 2 is to 8, 3 is to 27, 4 is to 64, 5 is to 125, dot dot dot, 10 is to 1000. The keys are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, coming from the first iterable my underscore keys, and the values 1, 8, 27, 64, 125, 216, dot dot dot, 1000. These are the values coming from which iterable? The second iterable, that is my underscore values. And already they have been mapped, the keys have been mapped to the values 1 is to 1, 2 is to 8, 3 is to 27, thanks to the zip method. Then moving to the next part, here you have a list 10, 20, 30. L dot extend. Now inside this L dot extend, I am passing this iterable, which is a list. Overall, inside the extend method, you have to pass an iterable. In our case, what is the iterable? It is a list. Inside the list, you have string value. Inside the list, you have string value, which is coding. But overall, inside the extend method, you are passing an iterable, which is your list. An extend method will do what? It will append all the elements. It will append all the elements of the iterable one by one to the list. That is towards the end of the list. So, what are the elements of this list? There is only one element of this list. There is only one element of this list, which is the string value coding. So this all together will be appended at the end of the list, that is L. So if you run this cell, you see 10, 20, 30, coding. Similarly, L is equals to, here you see 10, 20, 30, L dot extend coding. Now what will happen here? I'm passing what iterable inside this extend method? I'm passing a string as the iterable inside this extend method. So it will append all the elements of the iterable one by one to the list. What are the elements? First of all C, then O, then D, then I, then N, then G. One by one all these elements will be appended to the end of the list L. We have done this previously also. This is just a recap. So you see 10, 20, 30, then you have C, then O, then D, then I, then N, then G. Okay. Further coming down, L is equals to 10, 20, 30, L dot append coding. Inside the append method here, I'm passing an iterable. What is that iterable? String value. What is the value? Coding. Now, append method will append this entire thing. It will append the entire value at the end of the list, not one by one, unlike extend method. In extend method, it was doing one by one. In append method, it does all at once. The entire value at the end of the list, it will append. Okay. So you see L, if you run this cell, 10, 20, 30, coding. Okay. Anyways, that was a recap. Now this is dictionary comprehension. List comprehension we have done. Tuple comprehension we have done. Okay. Those are very, very handy. Why? Because those require very small amount of coding. Well, like in one line of coding will be sufficient to generate the corresponding output. Whereas in case of loops, you will be requiring multiple lines of coding to generate the output. But in comprehension, just one line of coding is sufficient. I hope you remember list comprehension. I hope you remember list comprehension, tuple comprehension. So for comprehension, for now we will be talking about dictionary comprehension. Okay, list comprehension has been done, tuple comprehension has been done. Now dictionary comprehension. For dictionary comprehension, you give this curly brace opening and this curly brace closing, and then here you give x is to x to the power 3. X is to x to the power 3 for x in range 1, 11. Very similar to your list comprehension, tuple comprehension, very, very similar. Okay. So first of all, for x in range 1, 11, that means your x will be going from 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, dot 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 up to 10. The value of x will iterate. Okay. And for each iteration, this value of x will be taken up. Sorry, it will be starting from 1. X will be starting from 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when x is 1, then with this 1 is taken here, 1 is to 1 to the power 3. 1 is to 1 to the power 3. It is like a keys to value only. Here you have keys to value only. So x is 1 and x to the power 3 means 1 to the power 3 is 1. So you get here 1 is to 1. Okay. Then the value of x, it becomes 2. And when x becomes 2, then it comes here. The control comes here. Here you have x is to x to the power 3. That means 2 is to 2 to the power 3. So 2 to the power 3 is nothing but 8. So ultimately we'll have 2 is to 8. Okay. Then x becomes 3. X becomes 3. So control goes back here. It will be 3 is to 3 to the power 3. 3 is to 3 to the power 3 means 3 is to 27. 3 to the power 3 is 27 only. In this way, x, when it becomes 4, then you will have 4 to the power 3, that is 64. So x is to x to the power 3, when x is 4, will be nothing but 4 is to 64. When x is 5, then x is to x to the power 3 will be your 5 is to 125, because 5 to the power 3 is 125. Dot dot dot, you get 6 is to 216. Then when x is 7, you get 7 is to 343. When x is 8, you get overall 8 is to 512. Then when x is 9, you get 9 is to 729. Then when x is 10, you get 10 is to 1000. So this is how you can get the above dictionary that we got previously. Like here, the same dictionary you see, I had to declare an empty list, again an empty list I had to declare, then apply the for loop, then applied the append method, then applied the zip method, then applied the dict method, then I tried to print it. Okay, so there were considerable lines of codes required here to generate that record output. Now that same output we are getting here, but with just one line of coding, thanks to this dictionary comprehension. Thanks to this dictionary comprehension. So first the for loop will start, and accordingly the values of x will be taken up, and you will get your keys to value pairs inside the dictionary. So you can just run this. Yeah. Then next, coming down here, create a dictionary using dictionary comprehension where the keys are the numbers from 1 to 100 that are divisible by 7, but not divisible by 5 and 10. Okay, so you have to basically create a dictionary using dictionary comprehension where the keys are the numbers from 1 to 100 that are divisible by 7 but not divisible by 5 and 10. The values should be the cubes of the keys. You will have the keys, but what will be the corresponding values? Those values should be the cubes of the keys. Okay. So again, without dictionary comprehension, let us try our old traditional method, which is a more lengthy process. But in that way, your concept will also be pretty much clear. My underscore keys and empty list. My underscore values and empty list. For x in range 1, 101. So here what will happen is x will start with the value of 1, then it will be 2, then it will be 3, then it will be 4. In this way dot 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 x will iterate over up to the value of 100. Okay. Now if x mod 7 equal to 0, that means the value of x is completely divisible by 7, and at the same time x mod 5 is not equals to 0 and x mod 10 not equal to 0. Already we have seen the modulo operation, what it does. Okay, so if this condition equal to 0 and this condition is not equal to 0, and similarly this condition is not equal to 0, then overall your if loop or the if condition gets satisfied, that x mod 7 is equals to 0, the value of x is completely divisible by 7 as asked in the question, but at the same time the value of x is not completely divisible by 5, and also the value of x is not completely divisible by 10, then overall the if condition is satisfied. Then only the control goes inside the if condition, and then here you apply those append method, that is append the value of x at the end of the list, that is my underscore keys, and then in the next line append the value of x to the power 3 at the end of this list, that is my underscore values. Again x will be some other value, that then that value will be checked if that value is completely divisible by 7, and at the same time that value should not be divisible by 5, and also at the same time that value should not be divisible by 10. Okay, then the overall if condition is satisfied. Control goes into the next line, append the value of x at the end of my underscore keys, append the value of x to the power 3 at the end of my underscore values list, and in that way it continues. So whichever numbers are divisible by 7 but not divisible by 5 and 7, but not divisible by 5 and 10 at the same time, only those values shall be taken into consideration, which will be taken as keys, and then their cubes will be also taken up as the corresponding values. Okay, so here like you see, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they won't satisfy the condition overall. Okay, but when it comes to the value of 7, when x is 7, then here you see 7 mod 7 equals to 0. Yes. And at the same time 7 mod 5 is not equals to 0. Yes. And 7 mod 10 is not equals to 0. Yes. So overall 7 mod 7 equals to 0. Yes. 7 mod 5 is not equals to 0. Yes. 7 mod 10 is not equals to 0. Yes. Overall the if condition is satisfied. Now my underscore keys dot append x. So 7 will be appended at the end of this list, my underscore keys. Okay. So here you will have uh, 7 my underscore keys. And in the very next line, what will happen? This append method will append the value of x to the power 3, that is 7 to the power 3, at the end of this list, my underscore values. So here we'll have 7 to the power 3. 7 to the power 3, that means 343. Okay, then again 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, they won't satisfy this condition, overall if condition, because all these three criterias must be satisfied at the very same time for a particular value of x. Then only overall if condition is satisfied, and then only the control will go inside. Okay, so in this way you will have some other value like say 14. 14 is completely divisible by 7, but not divisible by 5, not divisible by 10. So condition is satisfied if condition 14 is completely divisible by 7, and at the same time not divisible by 5, at the same time not divisible by 10. So we go inside the if condition, and here append will append the value of x, that is 14, at the end of the list, that is my underscore keys. And in the next line append method will append the value of 14 to the power 3, that is this 14 to the power 3 at the end of the list. Which list? My underscore values. So 14 to the power 3, that means it will be 2744. In this way all the other values shall be taken up, and your for loop ultimately will be completed. Then the control comes out of the for loop, and here you have the zip method, and it will map all the elements of all the iterables one by one in sequence. That means it will map the first element of this one to the first element of this one. Then it will map the second element of this one to the second element of this one. Then it will map the third element of my underscore keys to the third element of my underscore values. Then it will map the fourth element of my underscore keys to the fourth element of my underscore values. Then it will map the fifth element of my underscore keys to the fifth element of my underscore values, and it goes on like this. So mapping has been done. Then zip method returns a zip object. Now you pass the zip object inside the dict method. Dict method will return you a dictionary where the elements of the first iterable, that is my underscore keys, they become the values, and the elements of the second iterable, they become the values. Elements of second iterable means my underscore values. Okay, so dict will return you dictionary where already, thanks to the zip method, mapping has been done between the elements. Only dictionary will be created by the dict where keys have been mapped to dictionary, where keys have been mapped to the values, Okay, so the elements of my underscore keys, they will become the keys, and the elements of my underscore values, they will become the values. And already these elements have been mapped to each other inside the dictionary. Now you will get, thanks to the zip method. So dict will return you dic dict, and print dic comma type dic. If you do run this, you see 7 is to 343 keys to value, 14 is to 2744 keys to value. Like this, all these values you get. Okay, whichever satisfied those condition, and finally class is dict. Again you see so many lines of codes we had to write here. Okay, so if I use dictionary comprehension, I will require only one line of code. Here you see dic. Dic is equals to, now I'm performing a dictionary comprehension. Here for dictionary comprehension you have to give this curly brace opening, curly brace closing, and then what you have to do at first, you can write at the very first, what you can do is you can write this one for x in range 1 comma 101. Then here you have to give the if condition. If x mod 7 equal to 0, and x mod 5 not equals to 0, and x mod 10 not equals to 0, if this condition is overall satisfied, where the value of x will be coming from the for loop, then here you can write your expression x is to x to the power 3. Okay, whichever value of x satisfies this entire if condition, only that value of x shall be taken into consideration and shall be passed here inside this, into this expression, that is into this x is to x to the power 3. 7 will be passed, so 7 is to 7 to the power 3. Then 14 will be passed. 14 is to 14 to the power 3. Then 21 will be passed. So 21 is to 21 to the power 3. Okay. So inside the dictionary comprehension, as the for loop runs, you will have step by step the value of x, and step by step the value of x will be accordingly checked here also to satisfying the condition or not. If overall satisfies this overall condition of if, then the value of x is taken into here. Otherwise not. Okay. And in the next line, print dic comma type dic. If you do this, you get your dictionary comprehension output. That is 7 is to 343, 14 is to 2744. All these things. Class is dict. So here only overall speaking, only one line of code was required. Here only one line of code was required. And above one, if you compare, you see how many lines of codes we required from here to here. Okay, up to dict we had to declare empty list, then we had to apply the for loop, then the if condition, then the append methods in both the lines, that is in two lines we had to apply the append methods, then zip, then dict. But if you want to evade all these things, then you can go for dictionary comprehension. So much saving in terms of lines of codes, just in one line you get your output. Okay, then sorry, the next is make a dictionary with the numbers 1 through 12 as the keys. So again, you have to make a dictionary with the numbers 1 through 12 as the keys. And for even keys, values should be squared, and for odd keys, values should be cubed. Okay. So you have to make a dictionary. Inside the dictionary, the numbers from 1 to 12 will serve as the keys. And wherever you have even keys, for them, the values should be squared, that is the key values. Wherever you have even keys, those even keys values should be squared, and those will be the corresponding values of the corresponding keys. And for odd keys, the corresponding values should be nothing but the cube of the odd keys. Okay. So your expected output should be something like this: 1 is to 1, 2 is to 4, 3 is to 27, 4 is to 16. Here you see, one is, what can I say? Like, you can take it as an odd number in this scenario. So 1 is the key, and its corresponding value will be 1 to the power 3. That is what is asked here. For odd keys, value should be cubed. So here you have an odd key, that is 1, and its corresponding value should be nothing but 1 to the power 3. Now here you have an even key. Here you have an even key. So its corresponding value should be the square of the even key. That is square of 2, which is 4. Now here again you have an odd key. Here you have an odd key, which is 3, and its corresponding value should be the cube of the odd key. So cube of 3 is 27. Then again here you have an even key, and for even key its corresponding value should be the square of the even key. Square of 4 is nothing but 16. Then again here you have an odd key. Its corresponding value should be what? The cube of the odd key, that is cube of 5, that will be 125. And here you have an even key, and for even key its corresponding value should be the square of the even key, that is square of 6, that is 36. In this way, if you go up to here, 12 is to 144. So the same logic, empty list for my underscore keys, empty list for my underscore values. Now here you apply a for loop for x in range 1 comma 13. So here x will be iterating from the values of x will be at first 1, then it will be 2, then 3, then 4, then dot dot dot, it will go up to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And already we know how to check for the even condition. If x mod 2, if x mod 2 equal to 0, that means the value of x is even. Then we go inside the if condition, that is to line number 9, and there my underscore keys dot append x, the value of x will be appended at the end of this list. And then in the next line, my underscore values dot append x to the power 2. That is the value of x shall be squared and appended at the end of this list, my underscore values, provided the value of x is your even, provided that the value of x is even. But if this condition is not satisfied, that means the value of x is not even, then definitely it is odd. Then the control directly goes from line number 8 to line number 11. It will skip lines 9 and 10. It will skip lines 9 and 10. Directly from line 8, it will go to line number 11, and then whatever is there inside the else, that will be executed. So my underscore keys dot append x, here the value of x will be appended at the end of the list, my underscore keys, where x is odd. Then in the next line, my underscore values dot append x to the power 3. So x to the power 3 will be appended at the end of this list, my underscore values. Why I'm doing cube here? Because as per as the question, if the key is odd, if the key is odd, then its value should be the cube of the key. Okay. Then it will x will be first 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then dot dot up to 12. The this already this logic I have explained you several times. In same way it will go through here. It will check for each and every value. First for 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, dot dot up to 12. So once it is done, the control comes out of the for loop, and here you have zip method. And zip method, it will map all the elements of all the iterables one by one in sequence. Since we are going to create a dictionary inside the zip method, you have to pass only two iterables, nothing less, nothing more. So inside the zip method, I first pass my underscore keys, then my underscore values. So my underscore keys is a list completely populated. This will be your first iterable. My underscore values is also a list completely populated. This will be the second iterable. Okay, so the elements of this one will be mapped to the elements of this one. So the first element of this will be mapped to the first element of this my underscore values. Then the second element of my underscore keys will be mapped to the second element of my underscore values. Then the third element of my underscore keys will be mapped to the third element of my underscore values. Then the fourth element of my underscore keys will be mapped to the fourth element of my underscore values. And finally, it will map the dot dot dot. In this way, it continues. It will map the 12th element of my underscore keys to the 12th element of my underscore values. So mapping is done, and those will be stored inside the zip object. Zip method returns a zip object, that is z. Pass z inside the dict method. So dict method, it will return you dictionary, that is dic. So inside the dictionary, what will you get? Keys to value pairs. The keys will be nothing but the elements coming from the first iterable, that is my underscore keys, and the corresponding values will be nothing but the elements coming from the second iterable, that is my underscore values. And here already the elements are mapped to each other, so automatically inside the dictionary you will get keys to value pairs where the keys are mapped to the corresponding values. Okay, when you print dic comma type dic, if you run this, you see 1 is to 1, 2 is to 4, 3 is to 27, 4 is to 16, 1 is to 1. Then 2 is even, so it's 2 is even, so it is an even key. So its corresponding value will be the square of the even key. That is square of 2, which is 4. 3 is odd. So here you have an odd key. Its value will be the cube of the odd key. So cube of 3 is 27. Again, 4 is even. So its value will be 16. 4 is an even key. So its corresponding value will be square of the even key. That is square of 4. That is 16. 5 is an odd key. Its corresponding value will be cube of the odd key. That means cube of 5, which is 125. It goes on like this. Okay, now again, so many lines of codes we have to write here, so many lines of codes. Now here you see, just in one line of code we can accomplish this entire thing. So what you have to write is like for dictionary comprehension, via dictionary comprehension only you can create a dictionary. So you have to give a opening curly brace, closing curly brace. Inside these curly braces you can write your conditions. Now here already we know that we have to go for the if else condition. Now in the list comprehension, tuple comprehension, also I'd explained you that whenever you have an if else scenario, whenever you have an if else scenario, then the if else will come first. The if else will come first, that is it will come first before the for. It will come first before the for loop. Okay, so inside the dictionary comprehension, what you have to do, just like your list comprehension, there whenever we had if else, then we wrote the if else at first, and after that the for. And definitely this expression, that is the output, we have to write at the very beginning. Okay, but if I compare between the if else with respect to the for loop, then in case of if else, it has to be written. If else, it has to be written before the for loop, and definitely whatever keys to value pairs you want, that has to be written at the very beginning of the curly braces. Okay, so if you follow this, at first we have to write if else. If x mod 2 equals to 0, that is condition is satisfied. This if condition is satisfied, that means you have an even key, then automatically the control will go to here, and that value of x shall be taken here. Like for example, if x mod 2 equals to 0, suppose the value of x is 2. Now anyways, let me finish, let me try it from the very beginning. If x mod 2 equals to 0, that means if this condition is satisfied, if you have an even value of x, then the control will go here. When the control will go here, then you have x is to x to the power 2. So x becomes the key and x to the power 2 becomes the value. If this condition is not satisfied, then we go to the else, and whatever is there inside else, that will be executed. Inside else you have x to the power 3. No need to write x is to x to the power 3. No need to write x is to x to the power 3. Simply you have to write x to the power 3 when the condition is odd. When the value of x is odd, you have to simply write x to the power 3. Automatically inside internally for this dictionary comprehension, it will be x is to x to the power 3. Okay, that is keys to value pair will be automatically created for you when the value of x is odd. So no need to write here x is to x to the power 3. Just once here, x is to x to the power 2. If this condition is satisfied, else x to the power 3. Automatically this x will be mapped to x to the power 3. Okay, and the value of x will be definitely taken up in that case, like and then here at the end you have to write for x in range 1 comma 13 at the end. So how will it start? It will actually start from here. For x in range 1 comma 13, the value of x is 1. If x mod 2 equals to 0, no, condition is not satisfied. So it will go to else. Else internally it will be x is to internally it will be x is to x to the power 3. What is the value of x? 1. So 1 is to 1 to the power 3. Then x iterates to the next value, that is 2. If x mod 2 equals to 0, that is if 2 mod 2 equals to 0, yes, the condition is satisfied. Even. Now we have an even value of x. So immediately the control goes here, x is to x to the power 2. So right now the value of x is 2. So it will be 2 is to 2 to the power 2, that is 4. Okay. Then the value of x, then for loop runs again and x moves to the next value, that is x becomes 3. If 3 mod 2 equal to 0, no, condition is not satisfied. So it will go to else. In else you have x to the power 3, and internally it will be x is to x to the power 3. That is 3 is to 3 to the power 3. That means 3 is to 27. Okay. Then correspondingly again x becomes 4. Now if 4 mod 2 equal to 0, yes, condition is satisfied. Control goes here. So x is to x to the power 2 where the value of x is 4. So 4 is to 4 to the power 2, it will be 4 is to 16. And again your for loop runs, x moves to the next value, x becomes 5. So you have if 5 mod 2 equal to 0, no, condition is not satisfied. So it goes to else, and inside else you have x to the power 3, that is 5 to the power 3. But before that internally you will have x is to x to the power 3. That means 5 is to 5 to the power 3. That means 5 is to 125. And this goes on for the other values also. Wherever you have even, then wherever you will have an even key, then the corresponding value will be the square of the even key. Wherever you have an odd key, there the corresponding value will be the cube of the odd key. So if you run this cell, yeah. Now, if you just want to reverse this, that is, previously I was writing x is to here, and instead, if I write the same dictionary comprehension code I write here, only thing is I simply keep x to the power 2 here, x to the power 2 here I keep, and then if x mod 2 equals to 0, else x to the power 3 is to x if I do this. And after that, conventionally speaking, I write the for loop, that is for x in range 1 comma 13. Then I print dic comma type dic. Then what will happen, you know? Then the keys will become the values and the values will become the keys. If you run this, you see the keys become the values and the values become the keys. 1 is to 1. Now previously you had 2 is to 4, but now you have 4 is to 2. Here you had 3 is to 27, now you will have 27 is to 3. Previously we had 4 is to 16, now it will be 16 is to 4. Previously we had 5 is to 125, and now we'll have 125 is to 5. Previously we had 6 is to 36, now we will have 36 is to 6. So if you just alter this like here, if you alter your dictionary comprehension code like this, where instead of writing the value of x is to here, you simply write is to x here after the x to the power 3 expression before the for loop, then in this way you can basically convert the keys into values and the values into keys. This is a very tricky question which often is asked in the exams and in the interviews, that okay, you have used the dictionary comprehension to generate the keys and the values, now reverse them, make the values as the keys and make the keys as the values, then you will have to go for this particular approach. Okay. uh, then moving on to the next. CHR, we have already covered this. Again, a recap. CHR of 65. 65 is the ASCII value, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. And if you do the CHR of 65, there is CHR of this value, where 65 is the ASCII value. Then its corresponding character shall be returned, which is your capital A. Then here, if you do CHR of 90, then 90 is the ASCII value for which character? Capital Z. So here the corresponding character capital Z will be returned. Okay. So if you come here, you see DIC is equals to, here you have a dictionary comprehension. What I'm writing here, X is to CHRX for for x in range 65, 91. We know that the ASCII values from 65 to 90 shall give you the alphabets from capital A to capital Z. So here your x shall be going from 65, then 66, then 67 in the steps of 1. X shall be incrementing and it will be iterating over 65, then 66, then x will be 67, 68, dot dot dot, like this. X will go up to 90 when x is 65. When x is 65, then what happens? For loop, at first for loop runs, it starts and x starts with the value of 65. Now the value of x is taken here, x is to chr of x. That means your if I write here, that means 65 is to chr of 65. So what will this become? This will become your 65 is to capital A, because CHR of 65 is nothing but capital A. Okay, then your x becomes 66. When x becomes, for loop runs again and x becomes 66, control comes here, x is to CHR of x. So then you will have 66, you will have 66 is to CHR of 66. So it will be 66 is to CHR of 66 will be nothing but your capital B. Okay, then x will be 67. When for loop runs again, x moves to the next value, that is, it becomes 67. So now x is taken up here. X is to chr of x. X is 67 is to chr of 67. So that means 67 is to chr of 67 is nothing but your capital C. Okay. So like this, the ASCII values and their corresponding characters will be taken up here and they will be formed inside this dictionary. Okay, so in this way, dot 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 x will go up to 90. So we will have x is to chr of x. That means 90 is to chr of 90, and ultimately we will have 90 is to z. Okay, so this is your dictionary comprehension, and in this way you can get your entire dictionary where all these keys are mapped to their values. Okay, you see here, as I told you, 65 is to A, this is the first keys to value pair, comma. 66 is to B, this becomes the second keys to value pair. Then 67 is to C, this becomes the third keys to value pair. 68 is to D, becomes the fourth keys to value pair. Like this, dot dot dot, here finally you have 90 is to Z. All these things, they are included inside the dictionary overall, that is enclosed within the dictionary, these keys to value pairs. Run this. Now coming here, generate a dictionary where the keys are the ASCII values and the values are the consonants. What are consonants? Anything which is not your A, E, I, O, U. Anything which is not your A, E, I, O, U, those alphabets will be only taken up as your consonants. Okay. So here you have a dictionary here, DIC is equals to, again you see, I'm going for the dictionary comprehension. Dictionary comprehension. How can you understand that? First of all, you have to give the curly brace opening and closing. Then the at the very beginning of the curly braces, you have to give your output expression, which is your keys to value pairs. So x is to chr of x. X becomes the key, chr of x becomes the value, and here you will have only just the if condition. Here you will just have the if condition. So after the output expression you've written, after that you can write your for loop, that is for x in range 65, 91, and after the for loop then you can write your if condition. Okay, here the if condition is here. With this if condition you do not require any else. If I would have required any else, then this if else would have come in the midway, that is in between, and for x would have come at the last, like here we go. Here if you consider, here like you see, if else it came in between, that is in the midway of the dictionary comprehension, and after this if else we wrote the for loop, and for all the list comprehension or tuple comprehension or dictionary comprehension, you have to write the output expressions at the very beginning of the dictionary comprehension. But if else you have to write before the for. But if there is no else and only if, then you can write, or you have to write the for loop before the if condition. So here I'm writing the for loop. Here I'm writing this for loop before the if condition because there is no else here. Okay. So at first it starts for x in range 65, 91. When x is 65, when h is 65, when h is 65, now what happens? Okay, for x in range 65 comma 91, so x will be going from where to where? X will be starting from 65, then it will be 66, then 67, 68, dot dot dot, it will go up to 90, the value of x, whenever the for loop runs. Okay, and each time the chr of x shall be checked. So when x is 65, for loop starts. Okay, the for loop starts, x becomes 65. Then it goes to the if condition. If chr of x not in a, e, I, o, u. Capital we are only checking because here we are going for the ASCII values from 65 to 90, and these corresponding characters we get from capital A to capital Z. So x is 65. What will be the chr of 65? It will be your capital A. What is the condition here? If chr of x, what is chr of x? Chr of x is nothing but capital A, not in, not in this range, capital A, E, I, O, U. That means if capital A is not in this range, then your if condition is overall satisfied, and the control will go here and shall give you the keys to value pair. Otherwise not. So let us see. For x in range 65, 91, x is at first 65. Now if chr of x, that means chr of 65, which is nothing but your capital A, not in AEIOU, not in AEIOU. Is it true or false? It is false because capital A is indeed in this range AEIOU. So condition is not satisfied for if. Then for loop runs again. X moves to the next value. That is x becomes your 66. We know A, E, I, O, U, they are the vowels, and anything apart from them in terms of alphabets are consonants. Now when x is 66, if chr of x, chr of x means chr of 66. What is chr of 66? Capital B. Not in A, E, I, O, U. Yes, the condition is true here. Capital B is not in this range of A, E, I, O, U. If condition is satisfied that the value is not lying in this range. If the value is not lying in this range, then you can go here and take up the value of x. So x is to chr of x, keys to value pair. What will this become? X is nothing but your 66 is to chr of x. X is nothing but 66 is to chr of x. Chr of x will be nothing but your capital B. Okay. Then for loop runs again. X becomes 67. X becomes 67. Then the condition is checked here. If condition, if chr of x not in AEIOU. Chr of x means chr of 67. What is chr of 67? Capital C. Okay, capital C. So if this is nothing but your capital C right now. If capital C not in AEIOU, then go for this keys to value pair. So check if capital C not in this range. Yeah, condition is true. Capital C is not in this range. So go for this keys to value pair. So x is to CHR of x. So it becomes x is 67 is to CHR of 67 is nothing but your capital C. So in this way, only the consonants will be picked up, checked, and included in the dictionary. Vowels will be excluded from the dictionary. Print DIC, comma type DIC if you do and run this, you see 66 is to B. Okay, 66 is to B, then 67 is to C, then 68 is to D, 70 is to F, 71 is to G, dot dot dot, 90 is to Z. Keys to value pairs are mapped here, and you will get only the consonants like B, C, D, but not the vowels. A, E, I, O, U are not present, and correspondingly, their ASCII values are also not present here for A, E, I, O, U. Okay. Then in the next DIC is equals to, again I'm going for this dictionary comprehension. In this dictionary comprehension, I'm doing the opposite, just taking the vowels. X is to CHR of X for X in range 65,91 if CHR of X in AEIOU. Okay, so when X will be going from 65 to 90, X will be going from 65, then 66, then it will be 67X. The value of X will be 67, then 68, dot dot dot. In this way, it will iterate over up to 90. Now for loop starts, X becomes what? What is the value of X right now? It is 65. Okay. If CHR of X in this range, then go for this keys to value pair, otherwise don't. So let us see. Well, let us see here, first of all. The value of x has started, for loop has started, x is 65. If CHR of x, what is the CHR of x? CHR of 65. CHR of 65 is what? Capital A. So this means capital A. If capital A in this range, that is AEIOU, yes, it is in this range. Condition of if is satisfied. So control goes here, takes the value of x. X is to CHR of x. So it becomes 65 is to CHR of 65, which is nothing but your capital A. Okay. Then next will be 66. For 66, the condition won't be satisfied because it's a consonant. Capital B we will get, isn't it? So dot dot dot. In this way, 67 won't be satisfied. 68 won't be satisfied. Now goes to 69. When x becomes 69, x becomes your 69. If CHR of x in this range, then only take this keys to value pair, that is x is to CHR of x. If condition, if it is satisfied. CHR of x means CHR of 69. What is CHR of 69? It is your capital E. Capital E. Okay. So if capital E in this range, AEIOU, yes, it is in this range. Why? Because it is lying here. It is lying here. Condition is satisfied for the if condition. Control goes here, takes the keys to value pair, x is to CHR of x. That means you will have 69 is to capital E. Like this, the other values are taken like 73 is to I, 79 is to O, 85 is to U. Okay. So if you run this, only the vowels are taken into consideration. A, E, I, O, U, and the corresponding ASCII values are the keys. Corresponding ASCII values are the keys. 65 is to A. This is the ASCII value. This is the corresponding character. 69 is to E. This is the ASCII value. This is the corresponding character. 73 is to I. This is the ASCII value. This is the corresponding character. 79 is to O. This is the ASCII value. This is the corresponding character value. 85 is to U. 85 is the corresponding key. U is its corresponding value. That is the corresponding character of this ASCII value 85. Then here you have DIC is equals to X. Again, you have a comprehension, dictionary comprehension. Dictionary comprehension. Now, we know that the ASCII values from 97 to 122. ASCII values from 97 to 122, it will basically give you the lowercase letters from A to Z. Okay, so 97, it corresponds to this value of small a. Then 98 corresponds to small b, dot 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 122 ASCII value. The ASCII value of 122, it corresponds to this character small z. Okay. So already we have seen this DIC is equals to x is to CHR of x for x in range 97, 123. So here the value of x will be iterating from 97 to 122. Okay, and everything is same from 97 to 122. You will get the corresponding ASCII values and their corresponding characters, which will become their corresponding values. Okay, there is the ASCII values, they become the keys. The ASCII values, they become the keys, and the corresponding characters of the ASCII values, they become the corresponding values of the corresponding keys. Like for example, for loop has started, x is 97. X is 97. So here x is 97 is to CHR of 97. So 97 is to CHR of 97. 97 is to CHR of 97. What is CHR of 97? It is nothing but small a. So 97 is to small a. Then x becomes 98. X becomes 98. So x is to CHR of x. 98 is the corresponding value. This becomes the key because of my expression that I've given here, keys to value pair. That's what you have to give inside the dictionary comprehension. So 98, it becomes 98 is the value of x, which becomes the key, is to CHR of x. That means CHR of 98. So altogether, this looks like 98 is to CHR of 98 is nothing but small b. So like this, you will get your entire dictionary from small a to small z. You see, just observe here. 97 is the ASCII value, its corresponding 97 is the ASCII value, which is the key, and its corresponding value is this character small a. 98 is the ASCII value, which is the key, its corresponding element is this, its corresponding value is this character B. Like this, you go to 122. 122 is the corresponding 122 is the ASCII value, which is the key here, and its corresponding value is this corresponding character small z. Okay, you can just run this cell. Now, similarly, you can go like this also. DIC is equals to, and again a dictionary comprehension. Now instead of 97, 123, here I am mentioning directly the numbers. Instead of mentioning the numbers, I can use this odd values. You know what is odd? Like for example, odd of capital A. Odd we have discussed in our previous classes. Again, a recap. Odd gives you the corresponding ASCII value. Odd of capital A will give you the ASCII value, which is 65. Okay. Then odd of capital B. Odd of capital B, it will give you the corresponding ASCII value, that is 66. Okay. Now, here you write. So here again the same thing, that is dictionary comprehension. Inside the dictionary comprehension, you're writing x is to CHR of x. Then you're giving the for loop for x in range. For x in range, odd of a, comma, odd of z plus 1. Okay, odd of a, comma, odd of z plus 1. This I'm declaring in. So what will this look like? This will be your range. Inside the range, odd of a. What is odd of a? Which a I'm talking about, capital or small a? Small a. So odd of small a is nothing but your 97, comma, comma, odd of z plus 1. Odd of z plus 1. What is odd of z? Small z, huh? Odd of small z, it is nothing but your 122 plus 1. It becomes 123. So overall, what will be the range here? The range here will be from 97 to 123 internally. Just like here. Here directly I have written 97, 123, but here I have used the odd function to do that. So internally, this range function will be from 97 to 123. Now 123 is the stop value. This will be excluded. So here x will be at first 97, then 98, and then for loop continues to run till the value of x is 122. Because this range, inside the range, the stop value, which is 123, is excluded. So the for loop will run just before the stop value. Just before the stop value means just before 123. So just before 123 you have 122. So the for loop will iterate from 97 to 122. That is, x will be 97, then x will be 98, then x will be 99, dot dot x will be 122. And correspondingly you print dic comma type dic, and you will get your entire dictionary. Just the same output that we got here. Just the same output that we got here, same thing we will get here also. Okay. So that's it for this class, my dear friends. And if you have liked this class, you can hit the like, share, and subscribe button and press the bell icon for notifications. So thank you.